Hey Apex Agents, it's Mobius Y here with another video for Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer. So today is yet another two-parter where we take a look at a character build. And today's build is on the Human Sentinel. This is actually a character I really like, and I've been playing him a fair bit lately, mostly to level him up in preparation for this guide, but also because it's a fair bit of fun to play. And having two different gender Human Sentinels allows you to really experiment with different builds and loadouts with this character. So we're going over my human male sentinel since he's the one of the two that I have at level 20, and I've got a very straightforward build for him here where it's focused around team support, individual tankiness, as well as the ability to detonate lots and lots of tech combos. So when you're leveling up your human sentinel, you generally want to start with leveling up energy drain first, tech armor second, at least to levels 4 or 5 to give yourself some damage reduction, and then doing throw third. And then from there you can split points between weapon training to improve the passives on your weapon damage, and or tech armor to improve your additional tankiness. I put 0 points in barricade for this setup because it's really just not needed. Barricade is actually a really effective and really useful power, even only at rank 1. So let's get into the breakdown of each individual skill now, and I will also go over things like my weapon choice with mods and the booster equipment that I put on. So starting with the first skill, throw. As I said, this is pretty much it's either going to want to be the third or the second thing you level up. It can very well be the third thing if you want to improve your passive to make yourself, give yourself more damage reduction and make your character more tanky, because throw already has a very low recharge time and it still hits with a lot of force. As you can see, 850 force, that's enough to stagger a lot of things in this game, and it still does quite a bit of damage when it makes an enemy strike physical objects within the world. So the first two ranks, the first one will give you a recharge speed upgrade, and then you'll get an additional damage and force improvement at rank 3. At rank 4, I went with the radius upgrade. It's nice being able to have a single projectile hit multiple targets. I believe this does have a striking cap, so it can only hit up to, I think, 3 targets. But don't quote me on that. That's just my guess. And that hits over a radius of 2.5 meters. So the total diameter is 5 meters of the impact point of where throw lands. Definitely a preferable choice over the additional damage and force, as this allows you to much more easily set off your tech combos. Rank 5, the duration upgrade doesn't really make much sense to me. Extends the float duration and the length of time targets are primed for combo detonations, gives you plus 400% duration. I don't really think that's a very good choice. I went with the additional recharge speed on this one because being able to cast throw as often as possible, not just for setting off combos, but also for disabling unarmored, unshielded enemies really quickly. If you're in a bind and you just need to knock them down so that they're not shooting you for a couple seconds, or if you need to get something like a remnant breacher or an outlaw adhe or a ket wraith out of your face. And at rank 6, you've got the swift detonation option, which is plus 30% combo detonation damage and plus 50% recharge speed, which is a pretty nice upgrade, but I much prefer this double throw ability. It launches 2 projectiles that seek separate targets. The first projectile always goes straight at what you are targeting, which enemy you are targeting. It will try to go around cover and hit it as best as possible. The second one will just hit a target that's fairly nearby to what you're already targeting. So both projectiles have a 2.5 meter impact radius. So 2 projectiles hitting multiple targets. This does offer really good crowd control against multiple enemies that are tightly packed together. As I said, barricade, I only leave it at rank 1. It still lasts for 13 seconds, gives you an additional 40% regen delay reduction to your health and shields, and you automatically carry 2 power cells. So this is the only reason that you ever need to go to ammo boxes with the setup that I'm using, as I am largely using a remnant weapon on this loadout. And this is kind of a bit of a panic button where it's just like you're caught on the open and all of a sudden you lose a lot of your health and or shields really quickly and there's no cover nearby. Just pop one of these down. It can be sometimes finicky. It's happened numerous times where I pop a barricade but it doesn't happen, and I just get caught out in the open with my pants down with no cover nearby, and I just get downed really quickly. That's largely my own fault when that happens, but it's not very often. If you're really smart with your barricade use, you can also use it to do things like block doorways and prevent things like hydras walking through through doorways or remnant destroyers and keep them trapped behind a doorway for a limited time, limiting their field of fire essentially. Now, energy drain. This is kind of the bread and butter for the Human Sentinel. As I said, you probably want to level up this skill first as it gives you really good survivability as well as area damage with your tech combo capabilities, combining this with the throw ability. So at rank 2, you get another recharge speed reduction. Rank 3 gives you additional damage and additional shields restored. At rank 4, you do have the additional damage and more shields restored ability, but I like the recharge speed because the base recharge speed on this is already 12 seconds. So when you combine it with the additional 30% recharge speed, that'll take off another 2-3 seconds off your recharge, which is great. At rank 5, you have an extended duration upgrade that I went with. Restores additional shields over time, and the target is primed for combo detonations for the same duration. It's important that you pick this one over the auxiliary drain, which gives energy drain an impact radius, a very wide impact radius, I might add, which can be awesome, but for the sake of area damage and crowd control, you want the extended duration in order to prime your targets for detonations. This allows you to not only prime targets by casting an energy drain, but if you have a target primed by shooting it with some kind of elemental ammo type, such as cryo or disruptor, you can also detonate with an energy drain. And at rank 6, of course, the team drain just seems like very no-brainer kind of move. For objectives like uploads or hacks, this is really, really good. It makes your energy drain like a pseudo shield boost. It's not quite as effective at restoring ally shields. It restores 50% of their shields, but it still works quite well for when you are sticking close to your teammates. If you're kind of like me and you try to stick close to one or two teammates most of the time. This gives them some additional survivability as well. And if you care about insignificant things like the scoreboard, this constantly gives you a good supply of support points as you are restoring your teammates' shields. And that will make it look really nice on the scoreboard. Weapon training is the first main combat passive of the Human Sentinel. Now, this is one of the last ones that I recommend you upgrade because it's pretty much just a kind of additional goodies sort of bonus. But most importantly, I used it to improve the weapon damage on my Human Sentinel. So the first upgrade, you get additional weapon damage. Second upgrade, you get additional power damage, which is nice. Third upgrade, you get even more weapon damage, just a little bit. Better weapon weight capacity and some not really necessary melee damage. At rank 4, the additional power damage could be nice. Essentially, but since the damage itself from both energy drain and throw are not really that good individually, I didn't think it was very necessary. The 8% weapon damage to improve the sustained DPS of shooting the gun is far more important, in my personal opinion, which gives the Human Sentinel a much better time to kill over additional power damage. So rank 4 weapon training, a bit of a no-brainer to me. Rank 5, I didn't bother with the additional weapon headshot, weak point bonus, or spare ammo. I didn't think that was really necessary because a lot of the time you're shooting on the move. I went with the additional plus 50% all combo damage. That is the big bonus here at the rank 5 of the weapon training passive. This makes all your tech combos much more powerful, and with the Human Sentinel, you're doing a lot of them. It also gives you an additional plus 50% hover duration and plus 100% weapon accuracy while airborne. That's actually pretty nice for when you want to jump in the air and try to finish off a very weak target that just has to die, something like a Nullifier or Krogan Berserker, something like that. You just need to jump up in the air and shoot down over his cover to make sure that it gets finished off. And then at rank 6, I went with Weapon Specialists for another 10% weapon damage, but equally important, plus 15% weapon accuracy and plus 15% weapon stability. This really helps with the mobile aspects of playing the Human Sentinel. Helps you land your hits when you're moving around and you're not really in cover, or just shifting between right and left-hand advantage, shooting around corners while keeping yourself covered. Again, I felt that was much more important than the additional 20% power damage and weapon weight capacity, as well as the +1 to all power cells of the Power Specialist at rank 6. The additional weapon damage just helps with the sustained DPS of the gun that is being used, as well as lower the overall time to kill. And lastly, tech armor. As I said, if you're going for tanky, as I did with this build, you probably want to do this one second. So the first upgrade in tech armor gives you plus 10 damage resistance. Not a big deal, but it does get better. Second upgrade, plus 30% melee damage. Third upgrade, you get another plus 15 damage resistance. So at rank 3, you have a total of 25 points of damage resistance. Now at rank 4, I went with another plus 20 damage resistance, increasing it to 45. And at rank 5, plus 20 damage resistance, again, giving it a total of 65 damage resistance. So that essentially lowers all damage taken by, I want to say, about a third, roughly, because at 100 points of damage protection, you are taking half damage from everything. So it is pretty nice being this tanky. Now, when I leveled this character, I took this skill up to level 5, and then I left it there for a while. At rank 6, this was the final upgrade that I put on this character once he reached level 20. And I went with additional tankiness, increased shield regeneration for 6 seconds after taking damage, plus 50% shield regeneration after being hit, and plus 50% regen delay reduction after being hit. This is actually really nice. It makes your character even more tankier. So you've already got a pretty good amount of damage resistance from all these passive bonuses, as well as really good shield regen and regen delay after taking damage from any source. So this can make the character extremely tanky when you combine it with a good shield restoration ability like energy drain, as well as additional defensive boosters and equipment such as cyclonic mods or survivor loadouts and those sort of things. So the weapon that I like to use on the Human Sentinel, yes, I know it's the Equalizer again. This thing sees a lot of use on a lot of my current characters. It's just so good utility-wise. The only thing that makes the Equalizer a bad choice for this is the limited range, as well as the fact that you can forget to go check out ammo boxes because this thing does not require ammo. So you might find yourself without any without any power cells for a barricade here and there. That has happened to me a few times, but I've gotten a lot better at moderating myself, running around the map, knowing that if I'm going a route with an ammo box, I just visit the ammo box just in case. If I'm down a power cell or I have none, I just make sure I go and pick it up. And on the Equalizer, of course, I use the pistol barrel and pistol magazine upgrades for additional weapon mods. The barrel adds a flat damage increase, and the pistol magazine drastically increases the clip size, allowing me to put out a much longer sustained fire. There are definitely additional options that you can do. The Rosarad's obviously a really good option. The Hornet's pretty decent. The Sidewinder is a lot more ammo dependent, but if you're really good at placing your shots, if you're very ammo conservative, and you're simply more mechanically skilled at landing the weak point shots than I am, you could go with that. The Talon's also a pretty good choice. And there's always the Charger to fall back to if you don't really have many other choices. And by extension, you could use the Charger S if you just don't have anything better to go with. The Ushior could also be a pretty good pistol, but as you see, I don't have that. The N7 Hurricane is obviously really good with its massive close-range DPS, so on and so forth. I largely would recommend sticking with pistols because you can go with the piece of equipment that is the Expert Package. This is actually a really nice piece of equipment to use. It increases your pistol damage by 15% and your power recharge speed by an additional 15%, allowing you to cast your energy drain more quickly, allowing you to prime enemies for tech bursts more quickly, and follow up with a throw to detonate. This is obviously a very good option to go with. You could also, again, go for additional tankiness with something like a shield enhancer to give you an additional 30% on your shields, or you could go with something like a multi-capacitor to increase your shield regen delay reduction by 100%. That's not a bad option there. Basically anything that increases your shields or increases your power recharge speed, or what I like to do because I'm silly, I like the supply pack transmitter. It used to just be the revive pack transmitter, where if you were downed and you had nearby teammates that were downed, you could use a revive pack and it picks everybody up. But this has since been patched to where using a first aid, a revive pack, and an ammo pack applies to all teammates within 10 meters. So if you are hugging teammates, if you're staying close to teammates to try and keep them alive with your energy draining shield restoration capabilities, this is also really, really handy. If you hear somebody's character call out lost shields and you don't have an energy drain and you're in a bad spot and you're close enough to them, you can pop your own med pack and it will apply to them, fully restoring all of their health and shields. it can be quite the lifesaver in situations like really bad hack locations, really bad upload locations, so on and so forth. This is actually a really interesting piece of equipment. I like using it myself a lot because there's many instances where playing in public matches with random people, you get a situation where there's 3 of you down in the same area because somebody got downed, somebody tried to go save him, got downed as well, and then you try to go save him and you also get downed. And then this way, only one person uses one revive pack to get everybody else up. And then for consumables, the boosters, I honestly really like the Human Sentinel because it gives me a reason to equip things like cyclonic mods. I only have grade 1 right now, but a cyclonic mod grade 1 increases your shields by 10%. Nothing major, but it does definitely help. And then the second mod, I like putting on some kind of ammo application, usually disruptor ammo. Disruptor ammo is really nice to increase the capability of proccing enemies, preparing them for a tech burst, priming them for a tech burst, so you don't necessarily have to wait every time on an energy drain if you want to set off a tech burst and get some area damage going, or just strip a lot of shields in a fair radius very quickly. This is also in conjunction with the additional combo damage that you get in rank 5 of the combat passive. It's also really nice to have. You could, of course, equip any ammo mod if you so chose, or you could equip something like a power efficiency mod. This combined with an expert package can give you a really low cooldown on both throw and energy drain, which can be extremely nice to have, giving you much better survivability, being able to regen your shields by casting energy drain, as well as setting off much more tech bursts. That's definitely an option, or as a last resort, if you don't really have anything else, you could just go with a pistol rail amp to improve the damage of whatever pistol weapon you are using. So I think that sums it up for this character. The Sentinels have always kind of been a tech and they've always been a bit of a tech and a biotic combination character. Ever since the first Mass Effect, that was their goal, and they weren't necessarily molded into tanky support characters until about Mass Effect 2. So continuing with this trend, the Human Sentinel in Mass Effect Andromeda is not very much different, giving themselves some additional damage reduction, really good shield regen delay and delay reduction after being shot, and just being an overall kind of jack of all trades with really good survivability and team support capabilities, with the energy drain as well as the energy drain throw combo, giving it good crowd control and area of effect damage. So that'll sum it up for part 1 of today's video. If you would like to see some gold gameplay, the link for part 2 will be in the description below, where I take this exact loadout into a gold difficulty game, and I simply just make it work, and you can see how to use this to the best of your abilities. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that with throw, there was that rank 5 duration upgrade where it primes enemies for combo detonations for a longer duration. Throw already does this by default. You'll see this happen a couple times in the gameplay video, and you have to be very fast. As soon as you cast your throw, you need to be casting your energy drain on the same target, and it can only be to unshielded targets that do not have an armor bar. It has to be to unshielded, unarmored targets that only have a health bar. So things like Outlaw Raiders or a de-shielded Ket Ascendant, or sorry, not a Ket Ascendant, a Ket Anointed, you have to drop their shields first, and then you can hit them with a throw and immediately energy drain right afterwards. It actually sets off a biotic combo and a tech burst at the same time. So it does a lot of area damage if you're able to pull it off. It has to be on a target that is not right in front of you. Otherwise, the throw will hit the target before you have enough time to cast the energy drain. It has to be at a target that's a good 15 to 20 meters away from you already. Otherwise, you simply don't have enough time to do it. So you'll see that happen in the gameplay, but apart from that, the bread and butter is largely just energy drain, throw, energy drain, throw, energy drain, throw, and in between all the power casting, you want to be shooting your gun like crazy, obviously. So that concludes this video. I almost forgot to mention that bit about the throw energy drain combination. You'll see that in the gameplay video. As I said, the link will be in the description below for part 2 featuring gold gameplay. This has been Mobius Y from Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Good luck, Apex.